Welcome to Culture and Peace. I must begin by saying I am so sorry that I am not there with you at this moment. I have worked very hard for several weeks preparing to join you. A couple of my students were very excited to join you, but unfortunately, a couple of weeks ago, Australia decided to change its travel warning to caution against travel to Bethlehem as well as the rest of the West Bank. And those of you from Bethlehem, from the West Bank, and many of you who are friends of Bethlehem Bible College know that historically Bethlehem as well as Jerusalem are very popular tourist attractions for obvious reasons, especially around the holidays. And because of their relative safety, especially Bethlehem's safety, they have been exempted from these travel warnings. I was just there the beginning of the year at Bethlehem Bible College helping Dr. Bashara and Dima and others launch this very important first Master's Peace Program in the Arab world. And I had a lovely time. My husband and I spent several weeks in Bethlehem with no problems. But as I talked to my university administration, they were expressing concerns not so much about our staying at Bethlehem Bible College or in Bethlehem, but in passing through Israel, flying into Tel Aviv, and particularly concerned about my students and I going through the checkpoints, given what has been happening the last several weeks. And my heart goes out to all of you. I have been working with Israeli, Palestinian, and Jewish dialogue regarding this conflict for the last 15 years. Ever since I started teaching conflict resolution in peace studies at the University of California, Berkeley. And today my focus in the 20-25 minutes that I'll be talking to you will be on reviewing your class syllabus and giving you some highlights, encouraging you to write me or to arrange Skype office hour appointments so that I can answer all questions, concerns. And I don't have the time to fully introduce myself, but I will say University of Oslo in Norway invited me to teach in their international summer school when I was at UC Berkeley. And at that time, which was shortly after the Oslo Accords process happened, before the horrible, heart-wrenching violence, human rights violations, and all that's gone on in the last several years started, I was teaching multicultural conflict resolution to Israelis and Palestinians who were part of this international summer school, along with students from the Balkans, which was at war during that time, and students from all around the world in war-torn countries. I then went back to Berkeley, and my students there, Israeli, Palestinian, and Jewish from several countries, Russia, Ethiopia, Canada, as well as Israel, were coming together on a weekly basis to dialogue about this conflict. And so I would have done anything in my power to join you in person, but I also feel very strongly that part of peace building and effective peace building in the face of tragic, horrific conflict is to do whatever you can to see the opportunity in whatever transpires and give your best to the situation. And so that is what I'm going to try to do. I'm very happy in my broadcasting studio here at my university in California, California State University, Dominguez Hills, right outside of Hollywood and our broadcasting, media capital, they are going to help me talk to you for, I would say, 20 to 25 minute, maybe 30 minutes clips each class. Research shows that listening to what I will call, what Americans call a talking head, talk at you for more than that is really unbearable, uncomfortable, but just very poor teaching and learning. But I will be able to do that every class. And I have designed teaching and learning activities to help you learn some of what I see as the foundational and essential skills of building a culture of peace in the face of violence, in the face of injustice. I have also, and as I go through the syllabus, I will introduce this to you. Not only am I giving you one of my books readings, showing you how the students and other community members around the world today are using these skills to transform dictatorships, overthrow monarchies, and create social justice and peace in their lives, in their communities. But I'm giving you optional reading that is available through the University of California, San Diego, the Institute for Global Conflict and Cooperation. Real world case studies that I wrote when I was at Berkeley, showing how these skills and tools are used to effectively catalyze social justice in the face of real world organizational corruption and power abuse, community racism, even sadly, church-based corruption and power abuse. And if you want, you are welcome to read any and all of what I offer you, and then come to me with your questions every class. Because I really am committed to do even more because I'm not able to be with you this particular class. Okay, I trust you all have your syllabus and it's in front of you because I spent weeks developing it per Bethlehem Bible College guidelines. There is a lot of material here, and I'm only going to be able to talk maybe 15 or so minutes more. What I would suggest as we are starting our time together is that you figure out what works best for you. I will be available. We may be able to arrange a live streaming at the end of each of your classes so that you can be asking me questions, sharing what happened during the teaching and learning activity that I've assigned. Now, one of the issues I'd like you all to discuss, and I will be writing you an email to this effect. I may have already written that email by the time you see this tape, is that you decide whether you want to proceed with the intensive 2-week course as originally planned, so starting today and the next 10 days, or if you would like some time to expand the course, give yourself more time to do the reading and activities. You still will be required to do 10 class gatherings, given the assignments that I will be giving you. But if you want to stretch this class out for the next 5 weeks until right before the Christmas holiday, I can be flexible. I will work with you to facilitate your best possible learning. Okay, I expect you will be writing me or arranging to Skype so that we can discuss this more personally. Let me turn to the first page of your syllabus. Now, I was asked to teach culture and peace, and that is a very interesting topic for me because I grew up in a multicultural family, and I will be introducing myself as well as asking you to introduce yourselves multiple times because there is so much to explore, to express when we introduce ourselves. And culture is one of the more in-depth introductions which we need to explore together for a course on culture and peace. I have taught multicultural conflict resolution my entire teaching career, and I have also practiced multicultural conflict resolution in this country and around the world with community clients, students from over 80 countries and many more cultures. So I could have designed this as simply a cross-cultural, multicultural, and when I say cultural, I'm including religion. I'm actually going to include gender. It's nice we have pretty equal mix in your class. I include a lot of different factors when I talk about culture. But given I have taught in peace studies and in peace building now for almost 2 decades, I also see culture in terms of a culture of violence versus a culture of peace, a culture of justice versus a culture of injustice. So I see it in these very important ways, and people around the world, as you read and learn more, are attempting to build cultures of peace. Many different parts of the world, in war-torn zones, in very violent communities, they are, with their own strength, with their own faith, their own talents, finding ways to build cultures of peace. So I also will be including that in this course. Tomorrow I will be talking about what I see as the only ancient culture of peace in the world, and that is Ahimsa. And I understand your first class was with Dr. Mubarak, sometimes referred to as the Gandhi of the Middle East, and nonviolent resistance. Ahimsa, I think you learned this, is the ancient philosophy in India, which Gandhi embraced as a political strategy for the liberation of India. And I will focus on that culture more tomorrow. Those of you who've met my husband know that he is born and raised in India. He is actually Sikh. He is not Jain, though Gandhi, if you read his life story, grew up with a mother who was a very devout Jain, which most of you will understand as Buddhism. So Ahimsa came from that foundation. Sikhs actually rejected the Hindu caste system. If you know anything about the caste system in India, it's a horrific and illegal scheme at the moment. But Sikhs rejected it and created their own religion, their own community in response. That's a fascinating story too. I don't know how much I'm going to be able to share. But we will look at Ahimsa, that ancient philosophy, and I will share my experience doing yoga, visiting and living in India, my understanding of, since I have spent many years studying Gandhi, of how Ahimsa became a political strategy. Okay, what I do on the first page of your syllabus is I follow the format that Bethlehem Bible College gave me, and I give you an introduction of what we will be covering and how we will be covering it in the class. Now, I don't have time today to read this. I really want to, I'm going to trust you're going to read this closely more than once, and I would recommend you refer back to it on a daily class-by-class basis. And at any point where you're confused, you have questions, or I've stimulated interest and curiosity, you will reach out and talk to me so that we can have conversation and dialogue about these various topics. Today I want to go on to page 2. And then I will go on very quickly just to give you some highlights with the goal of helping you do your best in this class. Okay, the second page is the course description, and it's somewhat like the first page. Covers topics, covers the ideal content of the course. What I want to focus on are 2 things here. I actually did not include my email the way I normally would on the first or the second page, because that was not, I was following Bethlehem Bible College and their format. But I know I have already written you all via email, and if you did not receive that email or any emails from me, we need to fix that very quickly, because I will be available to all of you throughout our time together and even after to mentor you and attempt to support you in doing your best peace work, whatever your vision, whatever your aspirations are. Email is an easy way to get a hold of me. I'm also available, as Dima knows, by Skype. We can arrange Skype office hours conversations. What I want to stress on the second page is that the course goals and objectives are what I use to grade your final graded assignments. So if some of you care about the grade, I tell all of my students this, I have for years. I don't believe grades matter that much in this world. What matters in the world of culture and peace is your ability to make a real difference in the face of violence and injustice. And what I care about is helping you master the many skills that my students over the last 20 plus years will tell you make a real and significant difference in all aspects of their lives. That will be my focus. But if you are planning on applying to other peace programs or doctoral programs, you might want your transcript to reflect some solid grades. So these course goals and objectives are what I'll be looking for when I grade those assignments. Let's go on to the third page. Now the class structure I had hoped would be in person, but I'll tell you once again, I think we can even make this an opportunity proceeding as we are now. Now, I will share with you that Dr. Bashara suggested that maybe I could postpone my time with you and come in the future. But at the moment, Bard College, one of the U.S. colleges that had a study abroad in Bethlehem, has evacuated all of their students to Berlin, Germany. And I just can't promise when I would be able to visit you in the future. I did not want to hold any of you back. I know I imagine you all have deep passion for this, and I want to give you all that I would have given you in person, if not more. My graduate assistants really were looking forward to doing process observation, modeling the process of mediation that they're learning in my classes that is practiced in many parts of the world. But I think because we are proceeding this way, I'm going to be asking you, as you introduce yourselves to each other and to me, using the reflective piece that I will be sending you, that you also let me know if you have any experience with mediation, with conflict resolution, with observing and giving feedback, with facilitative leadership, because I will be giving you opportunities to practice all of this and get my feedback and each other's feedback while we proceed with this class. In fact, my goal in this class, and that was if I was with you in person, as well as what my goal is today, is that we will be creating a living multicultural culture of peace together in this class community. I understand that several of you are international students. Several, of course, are Palestinian, both Muslim and Christian. Some of you do not express having a religious faith, and you have pretty much equal gender diversity. This is a wonderful opportunity to be learning about other cultures, other faiths, other belief system, and learning how to create peace with everyone. So that's what we'll do together. The required texts are from my book, Negotiation Alchemy, and I will be sending those to you before every class. I also am giving you the optional reading that I described. Okay, let me go to the next page where, again, there are some optional recommended readings to help you. Real-world case studies of effective nonviolent resistance, and showing you that it's more effective than violence again and again. The case studies are quite clear. And I will tell you that if you look at the Human Development Index, to see where countries are ranked in terms of development, Norway is ranked #1 at the moment. But India and the Philippines are both ranked below Palestine. Palestine is seen as more developed in many ways than India and the Philippines. And the reason I'm telling you this, both India and the Philippines have successful case studies, real-world examples of using civil resistance in order to overthrow their colonizer, Britain, as well as their dictator in the Philippines. And in the Philippines, the church was involved, heart and center, in effective nonviolent resistance. So you really want to look at these real-world case studies. You will see on the bottom of this page how I will grade you. I will be grading you every class on your participation up to 4 points. And this is you demonstrating you've done the reading, you're participating in the activities in a multicultural, inclusive, respectful, fair way, where everybody is given the respect and consideration they deserve. Now, I did develop this course because it's at a Bible college, and I've also taught at other Christian schools. I actually went to a Lutheran school for the first 2 years of my education. I am open about my own faith, but I want to say to those of you who do not express a religious faith, and I hope I don't offend anyone, but I am not a traditional religious member of most of the faiths represented in this classroom. I was raised by, and my grandfather helped build the church in his community, very proud Lutherans, both Norwegian and German speaking. And they raised us to question authority, to walk in the footsteps of Luther. So my spiritual faith is very much ecumenical and inclusive. And I hope you all feel comfortable talking openly and honestly about what is most important to you, what in Gandhi terms would be referred to as soul force. You will be graded on a real-world conflict case study. I want you to pick what really matters to you, where you want to make a real-world difference. And I will be guiding you in some of what I want to see in this paper. But I also expect that you will be inserting, integrating, analyzing the reading with several course concepts. That is described on the bottom of the page. Now, I don't have much more time to talk to you right now. So let me go to the next page. I will be asking you to make final presentations to each other of these case studies with proposals for actually building cultures of peace in whatever situation you're analyzing. You are welcome to, I expect you to get together for 10 classes, which will likely last the scheduled 4 hours most of the time. You are welcome to present just to each other and give me only the written case study sent to my email address, which is at the top of the page here. Or you're welcome, if you feel comfortable, safe, courageous, inspired, to post YouTube videos so that everyone can see your case studies, including myself. And then your last option is you're welcome to send me taped versions of your presentations more privately if that feels more comfortable. Now, I have just a few seconds. I've agreed I'm not going to keep talking and talking, not test your patience. The course readings and the course topics for every day we were scheduled to be together are listed day by day, starting at the bottom of this page, and then you go on to the next. Please refer to this every class. We might be changing our dates and our timetable, and if that happens, I'll send you a final understanding of how we're proceeding. But we will basically cover step by step what's described here. I will decide with your input and feedback when the due date for your final case study is. So that will be forthcoming. Once again, I feel horrible that I am not there with you right now. I love being in the classroom with people and community. But because of my disappointment and inability to be with you, I promise you, I will give everything I was planning to give in person and more, because I truly want to see peace progress in your communities, in our world today, in our international community. Take care. I'll talk to you soon.